wish we were here together in person. Normally this workshop is held at the University of Georgia in Athens. That's where I'm sitting. And I'm glad I could be here. We had terrible storms last night and didn't have internet for a while, but it's back. This annual workshop is our most intensive in-person hands-on training event that we hold each year. We hold dozens of workshops and short presentations and meetings, but this is really a very long, very intensive deep dive into the data and learn about some tools and features that you may not have known existed that can facilitate your research. You will learn and meet during the course of this workshop. We have over 16 of our staff, including all of the primary investigators, will be participating as instructors in this workshop. So the instructor to trainee ratio is very good. It's 1 to 5 or better at times, so that you will be able to have really someone there to help and advise and nudge you along to think a little harder at all times. All of the training materials that you have been provided that will appear on the website, we're recording as you saw these sessions, will remain available to you so that you can not only refresh your training, but use the material to train others at your research group and in your institution. All right, it's decided to not advance, there we go. All right, so VEuPathDB, VEuPathDB is a bioinformatics resource center funded primarily by the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Disease here in the United States, but there are other contributors as well, most notably the Wellcome Trust for specific curatorial activities. VEuPathDB is a powerful knowledge base, and I really want to stress the difference between being a knowledge base and just being a database. So you will learn throughout the course of this workshop that there are 339 different species of vectors, eukaryotic pathogens, and their hosts contained in the resource. As of release 52, 516 different genome sequences. Since we have more genome sequences than we have species, obviously we have additional strains. Altogether, there are 1,757 integrated data sets, and that word integrated will take on a whole new meaning as you go through this workshop, including transcriptomics, proteomics, ChIP-seq, phenotypic, CRISPR screens, you name it. We have metabolomics, we have lots of data sets. And what they will do is they will our tools permit powerful searches that are designed to ask questions across these data sets to help you answer questions that will really help to move your research forward. And I'd like you to think about this resource as something that you mine, not something that you browse. And so I'd like to take a detour to a travel search engine for just a second to sort of reinforce that finding. So I just picked a travel search engine. It could be any travel search engine. I'm not advocating for any particular company or airline. I just picked here and I said I wanted to fly from Atlanta to Entebbe in Uganda. And what do you get to do, right? You get to pick the cities, you get to pick the dates, right? And then you say search, and some answers come back. And you note that on the side, almost on all sorts of tools that you can filter that information by how many, do you want a nonstop flight or multiple stops? Do you want to be able to have your luggage? Do you want to change, airports only in this country versus that country? What are the visa requirements? Do you want to sit in the aisle or in the window, right? We're familiar with the kinds of questions that might be asked if we were planning a trip. And then we note that these search engines, they also know about, they too integrate data. They know about hotels, they know about rental cars, they know about train schedules, all right? They know about different time zones. They alert you, hey, this is an overnight flight. You're gonna arrive a day later than you left, et cetera, et cetera. And we're used to playing around and customizing the results that are returned. And we will do very much the same within the VEuPathDB workshop. What is integrated are not flights and hotels, but instead genomic information, with gene regulation information, with evolutionary information, with proteomic expression, proteome modifications, et cetera, so that you can customize and modify the data in a way that can facilitate what you happen to be looking for. So it's an active process that you are involved in to find your answer. So I have some observations and advice going forward. Been teaching this workshop for many, many years. You don't need a computer science or programming to use these databases. You need to be the scientist that you are. The VEuPathDB leadership team are all biologists by training and career. We work with a talented group of computer scientists to create this integrated environment that we are working on integrating even further with other resources to facilitate the progress of research. I do encourage you over the next year, 2 years, the rest of your career, take time to understand the technology that generates the data you're going to mine. As you read the literature, make sure you understand the kinds of questions that technology can address, what the data types are that are produced by that technology and the vocabulary associated with that technology, and the caveats and limitations of that technology. Because those words from those technologies and the kinds of questions that you can ask in the database are very much related to the technologies that generated them. They're not words that we created, that they stem from the process itself. And also research the biology of the question you're exploring. In other words, in your organism, be familiar with the developmental stages, the pathways, types of questions, although you can learn about them as well through the database, but it will again help you understand some of the options and things that are available to you, or data sets and experiments that others have performed and shared with you through this resource. I want to sort of wind up by a couple of the last points. This workshop is hands-on. What does that mean? It means we will not lecture at you for 4 days. Hooray, hooray, okay? We've all had a lot of Zoom. What we will do is we will provide short introductions to the material and explain the purpose of the exercise. And you will then be moved into smaller breakout groups, each of which will have 1 or more instructors. And you will learn by doing. I encourage you all to consider having 2 browser windows open, one that has the exercise open and a second window that has the database where you're actually working and doing the exercise, so that it's very easy to reference back and forth, or different tabs, whatever works for you. At the end of each exercise, we'll round up and discuss the exercise. The instructors will be available to you in your room via chat on Slack to answer questions. And I do want to point out that the exercises are cumulative and are going to assume knowledge also from the pre-workshop materials and from as we go through it during these several days. So if you find yourself getting lost, do take the time to find an instructor and clear up any questions that you may have. And don't worry if you don't finish all the exercises, it's just not possible. I also want to point out that the same tools are available for all organisms. So don't think if this exercise is on organism A and you work on organism B that it doesn't apply to you. It does, but not all organisms have all types of data. So we chose the best data set to illustrate the power of the tool. And when your organism has that data, then you will know how to use it. Most organisms have most data types, but that there are some differences. And there's differences in the biology that make not all tools necessarily quite applicable, but they're so, when you see that the background is now orange or green or purple or yellow, it's the same database, all right? It's the same tool. So please do invest in the exercises, even though they're not the organism you might study. All right, a couple of logistics about today. Normally I would be telling people where the bathrooms are and where the break room is and where to get coffee. Instead, we're going to talk about Zoom. Please do, and I was the poster child for this, remain muted when you're not asking a question so that the entire workshop is not listening to your conversation. Please feel free to turn on your camera. It's always more pleasurable to speak and work with human faces than a name. If you get disconnected, you will get placed back in the waiting room just as when you joined, and then you can, an instructor will let you back in. If you have any technical difficulties, please contact Rachel via Zoom, chat, Slack. Do not email, please. We're not going to be watching that. We're going to be watching very actively what's going on in the workshop. But of course, if that's the only option available to you, then please do so. We will be recording all lectures, as you noted, so please feel free to turn your camera off during this time if you do not wish to be recorded. We will not be recording in the breakout rooms. You can use the chat feature at all times. The chats are not recorded in the recordings in the breakout rooms or in the recordings period. And for my last slide, how do you join a breakout room? A pop-up window will appear from you. For most of the workshops in the first days, we will randomly assign you to rooms, so you'll meet different people during the course of this workshop. But once we put you into groups for our projects, you're going to want to go to the same room. So when you see a pop-up window like this, click on the join button, or if you have the later, down at the bottom of your window, you should be able to see breakout rooms. A list should appear, and you can pick the room that you have been using. With that, I would like to stop, and I'm going to turn this over so you can meet the other VEuPathDB primary investigators, Marianne McDowell and David Roos. I'm going to stop sharing my slides, and thank you all. Welcome.